And we are coming down in 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to Getting Sports with Drunk. I'm your hostess, Cupcake the Riddler, and I'm joined by...
The Red Baron.
No.
Didn't even...
Just a pilot and co-pilot today.
Yeah, I didn't even give... Not even a nope. We're just,
No passengers on this plane.
just ready to rock and roll.
Yeah, so it's just us. So we'll get through the formalities early, I guess.
Yeah.
And talk bullshit. So what are you drinking?
So I had Christmas party to go to this weekend at my sister's, so I ended up scoring an 18 rack at High Life.
Oh, I thought you were going to say you ended up stealing a bunch of leftovers.
Oh, I should have. If we stayed late...
You do it for every other party. I'm surprised you didn't do it for your sisters.
That's like one of my favorite things. I will encourage, hey, have a party here. People bring their stuff and then they just leave it, and then I make out like a bandit.
Yeah.
But no, this was beer purchased by me, and I have 5 High Lifes that'll be enjoyed on this program.
Nice. I've been trying to win the High Life giveaways on Instagram. They did the Christmas story leg lamp, but with the Miller High Life theme to it.
That'd be like high on my things to own.
I know. It's like the leg is wearing, instead of the fishnets, it's like the Miller High Life girl stockings with the boot. And then they did another one where it's basically the same thing, but instead of a shade, it's got a cap that comes off, and you can fill it with Miller High Life, and it's got a spout at the bottom.
That's cool.
It's like kind of like a leg beer tower kind of thing.
I tried so hard to win that backyard set.
Oh yeah, I comment on all of them. I mean, I know I'm never gonna win, but it's always like I did the one it was like, why would you buy, why should you? Oh no, because the contest was people used bots to buy them all.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like they reserved some of them, and they were like, "Oh, tell us why you wouldn't sell it." I think my comment was something along the lines of I'd put it in my front window so that all the local dog walkers and children would peer into my window and see the dim light and realize, "Oh man, that guy's made it." Something stupid. I'm having for the first time ever, via the Kyle recommendation, a Mega Juicy.
Oh,
yeah.
Mega the Juice. What's the ABV on that?
It is 8.9, I believe. Let me look.
And the regular 2 Juicy is what, 6? It's I'm trying to remember.
I think it's a little higher on the box. I got it in this stupid fucking can koozie thing. Should just take it out of the can koozie, but I just don't want to.
Nah, it's all right. I was just curious.
10.2 on the Mega.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's actually a lot higher than I thought.
The 2 Juicy is 8.2.
Yeah, I don't know if I've had one on my own. I think I tried. I don't know. Did Kyle have it on the show? I don't even remember.
The Lil Juicy is 5.2.
Which is still good.
Kyle's had the Mega Juicy, but not on a live show.
Oh, okay.
I think he's had it from his own home. He had the Lil Juicy on the show, because when those came out, I remember being excited for those for him, and so I got him a 4-pack of those. And I think there was if I remember correctly, I think there was pretty mixed emotions. I think Massey was kind of whatever about it. I don't think Mock liked it. But Mock doesn't we've had the discussions, but Mock's not really big into the session style IPA. The session IPAs is what I prefer, because it's you the session. I mean, you like the triples and stuff, but the sessions, I like the session IPAs because I do like the flavor of the IPA, especially because I'm a big fan of bitter things.
Mm-hmm.
So I like the bitterness from an IPA, but I want to be able to drink if I get a 6-pack, I don't want to drink 2 and be okay, I'm done.
Right, yeah, for multiple reasons, like the
Right.
fullness and the burnout factor, the palate.
Yeah, like the Founders makes the best one. They literally named it perfectly, the all day IPA,
Yeah.
a low ABV session IPA that you can just drink all day.
Yeah, it doesn't get more on the spot than that.
Yeah, it's pretty great. You have any toasts?
I do. I have it's kind of like a toast of excellence, coast of disexcellence, and it's just the final play of the Patriots Raiders game. So
Wait.
the disexcellence.
I'll say we'll get into that.
Yeah, the disexcellence is the New England, just kind of like botching that whole closing play, and the toast is now. I heard this on a sports show that Chandler was in the position he was in because he didn't hustle down the field. I don't know if that's true or not.
No, I mean, it makes perfect sense. Why else would he be there? He's not blocking. You know what I mean? Like, he's not back there for any other reason.
Right. But so, like, if that's in fact the case, a big toast to just like laziness coming through the clutch,
Yeah,
resulting in good things.
that's funny. And then is the toast to excellence the actual, like, the Raiders portion of it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like a 50-50.
Yeah, I mean, I got like a slew of them, so I'll just kind of rattle through them. You know, I mean, not that I'm a humongous fan of his. You know, not that I'm a hater of his, but I'm just not a big fan of his like work. I don't really like follow him.
Mm-hmm.
But Lionel Messi, in Argentina won the World Cup over the weekend, in what is being regarded as the best World Cup final in the history of the sport, which, if you know anything at all about soccer, it's pretty old.
Yeah. That's pretty high regard.
It's kind of like the OG sport, I mean.
And I don't, and you could speak on it much better than I, but from what I've kind of read and gathered, that it kind of had like everything you'd want out of a game. Well,
so yeah, I'm gonna get it. We'll talk about the World Cup like briefly, kind of more in depth, and then so I'll get into that. To piggyback off that, also, even though it was in a losing effort to Kylian Mbappe for winning the Golden Boot at the World Cup and finishing as a runner-up with France.
And just rolling in his money.
Huh?
And just rolling in his money.
Yeah. So good for him. Also, toast of excellence to... Who was it? There was a bias one for somebody on one of my teams. Oh, to Justin Fields for eclipsing the 1,000-yard mark rushing.
Yeah, guy's just ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, he said, like, he kind of came out and said, like, it's kind of gotten some mixed reviews. My take on it personally is, we'll talk about it when we get into the games. And then I had one more, but I don't remember what it is. So, there you go. Those are my toasts.
Hey, some good ones.
There you go. Drink your beer.
Crack them.
Yeah, unfortunately, I did crack mine before.
Hey, no, it's okay. So I have actually 2 out. This first one I want to hit, like, pretty hard, just, to, get some high life in me fast.
That's hilarious. We'll dive into the MLB scene. Oh, my God. There's a Papa John's commercial on the TV right now because I got the Monday night game on mute.
Mm-hmm.
And not only because ever since the original Papa John's guy was, booted out some years ago for the racist comments and such. Yeah. And ever since then, Shaq has become like the mainstay of it. So not only is there the Shaq-a-roni pizza, which is hilarious, but they did a commercial where Shaq is playing like he's sitting at a table with his family eating the pizza, but he's playing every character.
Really, like pulling a Medea there.
Yeah, right. A real like Eddie Murphy, Tyler Perry type thing.
I'm pretty sure, didn't Shaq just buy Papa John's like outright?
I don't remember. I was going to say that, but I wasn't sure if that was true, so I just left it out. I think he is like has some ownership stake in it, but I don't know to what extent.
Which kind of in itself is kind of funny.
Yeah. Well, we talked about like Shaq just has like just so many endorsements and owns so many random things. I mean, Shaq really for like making, more after your career than you did in 100%. Your career. And it's funny because you look at players like Shaq, you look at players like, Michael Jordan and all, like, these are all players that, like, imagine what these guys would be making in today's game. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
Shaq, you figure Shaq got traded in what, 04, I think it was. He got traded in 04 to the Heat, and I think that was like kind of like his last big. He might have got like a contract that was with the Heat, but that was kind of like the end. Then he started sputtering out, like Jordan, but like just like I mean, like you think about it, like they talk about it's like, oh, like Michael Jordan's Nike endorsement alone has, he out earned his NBA salary in like the last 5 years of just his Nike contract. It's like, well, yeah, I mean, like look at what Nike is now versus look at what it was in the 90s.
The economics are just different.
Yeah, I mean, the world it's completely different. It's bananas. So, but yeah. So, who was we were talking about? We brought up the Tyler Perry and the Eddie Griffin thing. Who was the black actor that played the woman in Big Mama's house? Because that was like that was one of those ones like it wasn't like one character played like a bunch of different characters,
man.
but it was a man playing a woman. Was it Martin Lawrence?
I almost was thinking it was Martin Lawrence. The only reason I would say it wasn't there. There's another actor who's kind of like in that same group of people, a guy who's been like on like the Jamie Foxx show and stuff like that, whose name is escaping me. He's kind of like, he's like the B- version, but I could be wrong.
Whatever. So, all right, so we'll get into some NFL action. So, we haven't really done like a deep breakdown on games in a while, but since it's just the two of us, we'll do a little chatting on it. So you got we've had quite the slew. We started off. It's funny. We started off the season with some real duds in the Thursday night performance. You had a couple awful games. Then you got that real like bullshit low scoring game where the Bears and Redskins played, or sorry, Commanders.
Mm-hmm.
And like then like after the halfway point of the season, like the Thursday night games got way better, and the Monday night matchups that they had slated for the end of the season are just dud central.
Yeah, definitely kind of flip flopped.
Rams and Packers. I mean, granted, nobody was going to predict the Rams were going to be 4-9 in Week 15, and the Packers are going to be 5-8. But I mean, like, Jesus.
Yeah. I mean, I get it. It's logistics, and they have to schedule things out. But it's almost a shame that they can't, like, they get scheduled out to a certain point, and then they're like, hey, be prepared, we can flex anything, anywhere from a certain point on, so you don't have just like these ratings disasters.
Well, so I would say like, that's the thing, though, right? Like they can flex. So like, how does that? Do you know how that works with like TV things? Like when you see a game, so like what the Giants Redskins game was flexed to, Sunday night for this week, which ended up not being a good game either. But like how does that work? Because like what the night game is what NBC?
Yeah. So the only thing I really understand is kind of just historically speaking. CBS has always kind of done more AFC heavy games, Fox more NFC. And I think when it gets to a certain point, I don't know what they deem is. I don't know if it's like week 10 or 11. There's something in the contract that the NFL can be like, hey, we want to move this game because we think it'll have a bigger draw, and the networks just have to kind of be okay. And if that means that, like, let's say CBS had 2 games in the 4:00 window one week, and like they're losing that, they'd get it like credited back another week somehow.
Right, but like, dude, does the NFL really ever flex like a Sunday 1:00 game into a Monday night slot?
I don't think that's ever happened. It's
more Sunday.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like Monday night is just. I feel like the thing too is I feel like from like a fan standpoint, like you can't, because like I mean like. The game tonight is in Lambeau, and it's like,
right.
If a Rams fan bought tickets to it and they're flying in Sunday night, and then they change the game, just what I mean, like that person.
Like, hey, screw you.
Right? Yeah, exactly. So it makes sense.
But it is what it is. Like kind of saying, like you anticipate, like on paper going to the year, like, oh, this would be great. Rams Super Bowl champions. Packers, Aaron Rodgers. What are they about? And it just did not pan out how the season ended.
Yeah. So we had some So we had some interesting games. I forget what was the Thursday night game this week.
It was San Fran, Seattle.
Yeah, so you had San Fran, Seattle. So that, I mean, that game had an interesting narrative to it. It was going to be the 49ers' first game on the road after being shortened down to the third string quarterback, Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant.
Yep.
Seattle had been surprising a lot of people all season long, but they had been sputtering of late, and they were kind of needing to get right in order to keep some playoff hopes alive. And so the narrative was there, but the 49ers defense is just that good.
Yeah.
There's no question there. But this even if it's Brock Purdy went on an away game, and this isn't the old Seattle home field advantage we used to know from the Legion of Boom era,
Yep.
the early or like mid 2010s, but a road game is still a road game. There's no question there.
Yeah.
He went in and he held his own. I don't remember what his stat line was, but I think he threw for 2 and change, threw 2 touchdowns, kept ball security at a premium.
Yeah.
Christian McCaffrey did his thing, got 100 yards on the ground, which, any NFL analysts and any other whatever, they'll tell you, the ground game is the best way to have a backup quarterback play well.
Yeah. And I
would say, there was a lot of questions if were the 49ers, still contenders, and it's, if Brock Purdy can go out and just, do kind of like the men and not turn the ball over, that defense is good enough to carry them.
I know we've kind of talked about this in the past, and I think, Kyle Shanahan's kind of been under a lot of scrutiny, and I don't think it's deserved, because from what I've seen in his 10 years as head coach, you can plug in any player at any position and they seem to succeed. Think of all the running backs that have kind of just been nobodies who've went on to have 1,000-yard seasons. It's just like,
that's the thing, is like he caters his offense to kind of like a notion where, like you said, like anybody can kind of run it. And I think the real flack, in my opinion, that Kyle Shanahan gets is that, he's deemed this offensive wizard, but very rarely does he have a top offensive unit.
Mm-hmm.
I think, I'd be curious to see, what would this team, and I think Shanahan's getting to the point where people are going to be able to go, okay, we see why everyone was saying that, because when you add in the dynamics of what Trey Lance is going to be able to do on the ground, Christian McCaffrey out of the backfield, the catch and run abilities of Brandon Ayuk, the Swiss Army knife that is Deebo Samuel, the blocking and receiving kind of George Kittle, you know what I mean? Like there's going to be a multifaceted component to that offense if Trey Lance can be that guy. And what's great for Kyle Shanahan is Kyle Shanahan has basically 3 more years to figure out between Purdy and Shanahan who he wants.
Right, exactly. And I'd say, I don't know if you really caught any of that game, but it was one of the first drives, and the play they drew up kind of in the red zone where it was like the double fake screen and to hit Kittle right in the middle. I was like, this is the most beautiful play I've ever seen.
Oh, the 54-yard touchdown?
Yeah, I can't remember where they were on the field, but when he hit,
it was the double pump fake, right?
Yeah, yep.
Yeah, that was the drive coming right out of the half.
It was like, I was like in awe.
And I think the thing, if you're a 49ers fan or you have questions about where you think the 49ers are capable of now that they're down to their third string quarterback, this is what I would take away from it. A lot of people like to look at what the stat sheet say, the box scores, or they like to watch a game and they see things, and it's like the big takeaway for me is the 49ers were in control of that game. Now, albeit the 49ers weren't putting up 35 points and they weren't, but the defense was shutting Seattle down. And the offense was doing enough. They were, they weren't stalling out in 3 and outs. They were at least picking up a couple first downs to drive. They were keeping things alive so the defense could get rest. And then what happened is, and something that you usually see happen, is Seattle has shown this season that they have some offensive explosibility. And eventually, the dam is going to break, and the 49ers had one bad defensive drive. And Seattle came right down the field and scored. And, put a drive together to go back and put some more points up on the board. That, I mean, veterans have trouble with that.
Yeah, I think it was a great showing for San Francisco, and I think from what we've seen, especially from that game, I think that's the team we're going to see when they go into the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited to see what this 49ers team can do, and it's one of those things where it's interesting because I think once again, one of the things is whether you hinder it or hurt, call it a hinder or a hurt or a perk or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Just kind of got another season of like getting the benefit of the doubt, because while I don't think anybody would be surprised if this 49ers team figured out a way to get to the Super Bowl, I don't think anybody's going to blame them if they don't.
Yeah, you're right. It's almost like it's the best case scenario.
Right, exactly. So.
Yep, and then we had the start of our this time of year. The NFL loves to like, hey, let's put a bunch of games on Saturdays.
So you got the Saturday games, which you're going to see a lot of this coming weekend and the weekend after, given the holidays. And so you get the Saturday games, which I think were also kind of in the realm of, I think a lot of people were very hyped about the quote-unquote Saturday night matchup because of Bills Dolphins. Dolphins have been on a skid. Bills haven't been as convincing of juggernauts as people would have liked them to be.
Right.
But things started off with the Vikings Colts, and that's one of the headlines of Week 15. Colts go out, they lose Jonathan Taylor on the first play of the game, and you go, man, any chance they had is gone now, because the Vikings defense hasn't really been good.
No, it's definitely been the afterthought.
Right, and so you knew the Colts were going to be able to put up points, but they lose Jonathan Taylor, and you go, okay, all right, let's get ready for the slaughter.
Yeah.
And then the Colts just go out and they put up 33 points in the first half and pitch a shutout against, an elite-type offense.
Yeah, and like in convincing fashion.
Yeah, and I mean, we were talking about it in the group chat, like, what is going on with Minnesota right now? And there's been, I think a lot of people had in the back of their minds that this Minnesota team isn't really the real deal. Like, it's like there's an old saying, I forget which player said it, but it's like, regardless of how you play, regardless of your talent, regardless of what people think of you, you are what your record says you are.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you're, if you have all the talent in the world, or like if you have Aaron Rodgers like Green Bay, or you have, he's not on the field now, but like you have Cooper Kupp and Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey, and you're sitting at sub 500, you are what your record says you are. You have all this talent, but you're not a good team.
It doesn't result in anything.
Right. And then on the flip side, you have this, and it's funny because like the Vikings have been kind of that exception. Like the Vikings kind of aren't who their record says they are. You know what I mean? Like I don't think anybody really believes the Vikings have the capabilities of going in and competing with Philadelphia, Dallas, San Francisco.
No, they're kind of like the exception to the rule, where it's there's some star power there for sure, and they have won games, but at the same token, it's like imagine the game Saturday didn't result the way it did, like
right.
That's kind of like the
yeah, which was Minnesota coming back and scoring 36-3, and then kicking a field goal in OT to win the game, which brings up something I'd like to talk about after we'll kind of skim through the rest of these games, and we'll get there.
Mm-hmm.
And the Browns-Ravens game, the Ravens have just looked flat. The Ravens have just looked underwhelming all season long. They've found a way to win a lot of close games like they did last year, but it hasn't been anything.
It's a shame because it was kind of like the turd sandwich in between like an otherwise pretty good Saturday of games.
Yeah, I mean, Deshaun Watson came out and still doesn't look ready. Maybe this is for the Ravens. I think the one thing you can kind of hang your hat on and keep hope alive is that maybe this is the start of getting Mark Andrews back into the swing of things, because he's kind of been a missing piece in their offense.
Right.
And then you have the Bills Dolphins, which was supposed to be this snowball, and it really didn't start accumulating until the second half. And I think a lot of people thought that even though the Dolphins have been so good, I think a lot of people thought that the Dolphins were going to get blown out in this game.
Yeah.
They kept it close. They kept it a good game. Tua went out and performed. Threw 2 touchdowns. Josh Allen had another Josh Allen type day. The players, the big names on Miami showed up, and it came down to just whoever was one of those games. As the famous Kendall says, whoever has the ball last is going to win.
Yeah, it was exciting. I think both teams kind of like they showed up, and it was kind of exactly what many of us expected. It was going to be hard fought, and Buffalo being kind of the better team of the moment, coming away with the victory. And I think too it's tough because the notion being because of the other losses that Miami has suffered recently, that it kind of like accumulates. Like, well, what do we expect from this Dolphins team? Like, I think the Dolphins are still a good squad. I think they just they kind of have a tough patch right now, playing. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, it's
I get you.
It's not entirely representative of like they got outplayed, but they weren't duds. Like they played hard. It came down to like last possession, and I think they'll be fine.
Yeah, and so we'll keep on the point of the big games. Like the big like news headlines. We have the second week in a row in which what a lot of people 3 weeks ago were considering to maybe finally be the Dallas Cowboys team that really had the ability to go out and win it all. Really underperformed against a way lesser team. And, they narrowly escaped death against the Texans last week. And this week they went into overtime against Jacksonville. And, although the media is so quick to try to kill this kid every chance they get, Dak Prescott threw a not his fault pick 6 and the Jaguars won the game. Yeah.
Dak has thrown a little bit more interceptions recently, which is slightly uncharacteristic. But I think I'm not ready to crucify Dak Prescott, especially like you're saying, it was not his fault. And also, I think though Dallas is the superior team, I think the Jags are kind of been surging in the past 3 weeks.
The Jaguars have a team. They have a head coach who left Philadelphia and fucking what's his name, Doug Peterson. Right?
Doug Peterson. Yeah, it's Doug Peterson.
Is it Doug
Peterson? I was just being a jerk.
Oh, I didn't hear it. Sorry.
I said a Goat Peterson.
Oh, Goat Peterson. Doug Peterson left because he was, and he'll forever have this in his head. He was wrong about Jalen Hurts. That was kind of the big thing. He didn't want Jalen Hurts. He didn't think Jalen Hurts was going to be the guy. Mm-hmm. Jalen Hurts has been the guy, so far this season. But he's down there and he's coaching up a young team very well, and they're performing well. And he's giving Trevor Lawrence a chance to kind of look like what we thought Trevor Lawrence might be, coming out as the first overall pick. This is they're just. I think the more concerning thing is that albeit you can't put up points and you can't put a victory away until the last couple seconds, and then you go out against Jacksonville and you do.
I don't know if we're experiencing that now or if it's just kind of been flavor of the moment.
And then was kind of just written off.
Yeah.
When Buffalo retooled, the juggernaut abilities of Dallas. It doesn't even scratch the surface for Kansas City, and they go out and struggle against a not good Houston team.
I mean, this is exactly why I don't bet on sports. I mean, if you'd asked me going to the game, I'd say they'd put up 48 points by the third quarter. And
it's funny. So I listened to the Tony Kornheiser show because I said on the show before I'm a big fan of PTI.
Yep.
And I like the crotchety old man that Tony Kornheiser is, and he has during the football season, he has a couple sports columnist guys on, and they do, they bet on, they pick the games based on betting like on the spread, and they keep a track of the record. They have a fictional monkey that makes picks named Reginald. And yeah, like I mean, like if they said it, like the Chiefs all year, like they're not covering the spread. You know what I mean? It's like they're winning games, but it's not the way that you think they're going to win games.
Yeah, which I mean, as far as just what football is, like it doesn't matter. You win the games. There's you're supposed to win. It doesn't matter how you do it. But you're absolutely right. It's like any expectation or anything that we've been told about them that we should know has definitely not been the case.
Yeah,
it's very interesting, and credit to Houston. Like you said, they gave Dallas a run for their money. They kind of almost pulled the upset on Kansas City, if just kind of like a mistake by the quarterback mishandling the ball and gave the Chiefs great field position. It is what it is. It's kind of a hey, grow from this experience.
Yeah. And then the next big one, you touched on earlier, was not so much the game itself, but the final play of the Raiders-Patriots game. I mean, the only thing I can really, attest to it, for anybody listening that doesn't, didn't see it, I don't know how you wouldn't have by this point in time.
That's all you're going to hear about.
Yeah, but basically what happened is, the Patriots run one last play from like their own 40.
Yeah, something like that.
Rashawn breaks a couple tackles, gets like 25 yards up the field, pitches the ball back to Jacoby Myers, the receiver. Jacoby Myers runs backwards, kind of treats it like a Hail Mary last second type play, and throws the ball 15 yards backwards to Mac Jones, where Chandler Jones is just waiting, and just grabs the ball, just absolutely demolishes Mac Jones' existence as a human being.
Yeah,
stiff right into the ground.
Right, yeah, it's so good
for the team. And so, I mean, like, here's the thing, like, there's a lot of people want to, like, what's going to happen to Jacoby Myers? Is he going to get cut? Whatever. And it's, I mean, he's not going to get cut. He's a talented receiver. I think what happened was, I mean, we don't know, they say things in press conferences and stuff, and we don't really know what the plan was. But knowing Bill Belichick's not going to risk a game that's going to overtime to do something stupid to try to win it.
Right.
And so what happened is I think that they ran a run play in the hopes that, hey, worst case scenario, we get stuffed. Best case scenario, he rips this thing off and takes it to the house and we just win the game. And when Rashawn Stevenson broke out, but then saw that he was running out of places to go, it looked like, he pitched it back to Myers. And I think Myers just kind of was like, oh, okay, some schoolhouse.
We're doing this.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, his instinct wasn't to just give up on the play. And, the problem was that Stevenson, because the game was over, he's running, everybody else is running up the field, so there's nobody else behind him to throw the ball to. And he just didn't pay attention to what was going on and just made a really ill-advised throw. And
yeah, I think it was definitely an example.
Probably the ugliest ending in a game ever.
It was like, I think, an example of doing too much. I think that.
Yeah.
I think there was a certain degree of kind of like shock how Stevenson, made such an explosive breakthrough and kind of got deep into the defense. And
yeah, I think where was he when he lateraled the ball back? Right? Was he like breaking over like the 20? Right? Wasn't he like? It was like a 25-yard run or something like that, wasn't it?
They were definitely into the like Raider territory. I don't know where on the field they
almost in the red zone. I think they might have almost made it to the red zone.
And it's just the type of thing that I think it was almost kind of like a shock that they didn't just get stopped or whatever. And then like you were saying, like, hey, let's make something happen here. The only thing that I kind of take exception to, or I mean, I'm not even saying the right thing, that I wonder about is, hey, there's a plan for us to, let's just play for overtime. Why even bother running a play of any kind if that was sort of the I'm for taking the risk. I think more teams should try to like even like before the end of halves, like hey let's try to score, and so I'm not trying to contradict myself, but I do wonder that if they why not just kneel the ball if that was kind of your plan anyway to play for overtime.
I mean, I think from the process is like from kind of like what you saw happen, like Rashawn Stevenson making that big run. The Raiders were clearly lined up in a don't get caught napping with some
Yep.
sort of deep pass. So there was enough players back where they thought that maybe if Rashawn Stevenson could make something happen, once the safeties that were deep saw the ball get handed off, they you hope that they would come up, and by the time they come up, your receivers are in that level to make some blocks. And really, it did work out. You know what I mean? He got there. They pinned him. He did the one thing you're not supposed to do is if you're trying to run the ball and take it to the house when time's expired, you can't run to the sideline.
Yeah.
That's a lot of players forget that when you're on offense, you're playing against 13 defenders. And no matter where you are on the field, there's 11 defenders on the field, and then there's 2 sidelines that count as being tackled.
Yeah.
And once you get outside the numbers on the field, you're basically being pinched inward, and you have nowhere to go.
Yeah, it's funny because it's like now this paired with when the Dolphins kind of walked him off a few years back, it's just like.
Yeah,
two like end of game plays that are like shocking.
Yeah, no. Yeah. So, a couple of the notes from the NFL weekend that I found interesting. The Broncos were able to kind of look like a competent offense without Russell Wilson. The Cardinals continue to spiral despite the insane amount of talent they have on offense. The Titans can't get their shit together. They started off the season so hot and have just been falling apart.
Yeah.
The Bengals continue to look really good. And the Ravens' loss is what probably opened up the door for them to take the NFC North division, or AFC North. I mean, because they were kind of sitting that one game back due to the poor start to their season, and the Ravens had just kind of been winning close game after close game. That the Ravens gave themselves like a 3-game buffer out of the first 4 weeks.
Yeah,
and they had the Bengals like they were doing well, but they couldn't close that gap, and I think they did close it now because the Ravens lost.
Yeah, I think too, and there's like their party that's like you see the scores and like, oh well, they're down 17-0. Like, is this going to be it? And the good teams step up. They had like 4 turnovers in a row against the Buccaneers. I'm pretty sure it was the 4 drives. There was 2 picks and 2 fumbles. I think, and basically just pushed them, right back into the game, and they didn't look back.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about on the Bucs side, yeah. Well, yeah, so the Bengals came out and started the game with an interception, and you thought, oh, okay, because the Bengals or the Bucs were doing pretty well going into the half. I think they were up like 17-3 or something like that. Yep. But then, yeah, the start of the first half, it was a turnover on downs or something like that.
Yeah, I'm not exactly. I just know that they basically squandered 4 possessions.
Oh, I think it was a turnover on downs because of a muffed like punt type thing, and then it was a pick, a fumble, and a pick.
Okay, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and then a touchdown. That was the second half.
Yeah, but I was just saying real quick, the Bengals kind of finding their stride again.
Yeah, another notable game, in my opinion, not to be biased, but the Bears-Eagles game. I mean, the Bears kind of got ripped up on defense in terms of big plays. They gave up a 20-yard rushing touchdown to Hurts, and they were just consistently getting beat down the field by A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith on big plays. But, the Bears, they came in, they played a good game. They held this juggernaut Eagles defense to 25 or offense to 25 points. The Eagles juggernaut defense surrendered 20 points, which, for the Bears offense missing their two best receivers, one of their running backs, having another offensive lineman get hurt, they were able to kind of keep their composure and do some stuff.
Yeah.
I said it in the chat. I think this was a better loss for the Bears than it was a win for the Eagles.
Yeah.
I mean, the Eagles are, a win's a win, but
no, absolutely. I mean, in my opinion, the Bears are very young. They are very, very young. And, knowing everything we know about Philadelphia, it's kind of like what we expected Kansas City. We expected Philadelphia to score a bunch of points in a hurry, and that was not the case. Bears hung tough.
Well, and the thing, too, is like what you see this late in the season, what really hurts a team like Philadelphia is you play this game, you're playing this game against the Bears, which like you said, should be, a 36 to 12 victory. This game should basically be over at the half. And it wasn't. The Bears kept it close. They kept it interesting, which made Philadelphia have to keep running like legitimate offense through Jalen Hurts. And now there's questions as to whether Jalen Hurts is going to be able to play against Dallas this week in Week 16.
Yeah, and
Jalen Hurts, I guess, suffered some sort of shoulder injury in the game against the Bears, and that's like a real bummer because you hope it doesn't turn into something big and elaborate because this Eagles team looks really good. But if Jalen Hurts ends up having to go down for significant time,
yeah, the dynamic kind of changes.
Sorry, excuse me.
Yeah, and the thing is too, of my many Kendallisms, if the game isn't 60 minutes, if let's say the NFL game is 75 minutes, I think the Bears get a lead and perhaps even win because you see it, they hung around and they scored and then they end up scoring again. It just time wasn't on their side. Philadelphia was able to kind of salvage some time of possession there and in the closing moments, but I just didn't think the momentum wasn't fully there. I think if the game was any longer, I think Chicago had a lot of good things going for them, and I think they would have taken a lead in that game.
Yeah, maybe. And then the other game that on paper doesn't look like it means anything to anybody, to franchises that really aren't going anywhere fast in terms of this season, but might end up having humongous playoff implications, was the Steelers beating the Panthers. Because the Panthers have been putting some wins together over the last few weeks here and there. The Bucs have continued to struggle, and what everybody was kind of saying was going to be the Bucs division, even though they were playing awful, we were looking into a door where there was a real world possibility that the Panthers were going to be able to take that division. And the Panthers, they hosted a Steelers team that, it is struggling all season long to find an identity offensively, plays decently defensively when TJ Watt's in the game, but definitely is weak in areas. And the Panthers just squandered that opportunity. And this could be the big thing for them moving forward. This could have been like the decisiveness, because the only way you're getting out of that division is by winning it.
Yeah. And I tell you, Pittsburgh gave a lot of opportunities away. There were basically back-to-back possessions where a Pittsburgh penalty extended Carolina's drives. So, like, despite, Steelers being up and kind of in the driver's seat, there were times for Carolina they got some gifts. There was a really bizarre thing, and I was going ballistic, like just the stupidity. It was the end of a quarter, and the Panthers were about to punt. So coming into like the fourth quarter, they were going to lead off with a punt to start the quarter, and a Pittsburgh player whose name is escaping me right now is like in their huddle.
Yeah,
like he went out of his way to like be in their business, and they get penalized on that and continue the drive. It's just stupid things like that, and I don't understand. Like they didn't really get penalized for because they ended up scoring, but it was a Deontay Johnson like a taunting, like what are you doing, guy? You're in the red zone. You just came off a game where you guys were terrible in the red zone. Why are you not using your head?
Yeah, right. Exactly. I totally agree. There was something I wanted to talk about. We'll kind of close out the NFL with this. Something that has really, really kind of bothered me.
Mm-hmm.
Is sorry, I'm just looking up some stats to kind of like back it up.
Yeah, no problem. I got those good high life burps going for me right now.
There you go. I'm just trying to look up these stats to make sure I'm not putting my own foot in my mouth.
Oh, come on, that's the best.
Yeah, right.
Best part about the show is we can just make claims with like no evidence to back it up. It's like my favorite thing to do.
Yeah. So, okay. So this is what I wanted to say, and because I'm really tired of this narrative, and now it's even more at the forefront of it. I'd like to start this conversation off by saying I am by no stretch defending that Matt Ryan is a Hall of Fame caliber quarterback. I don't think he is. I think that Matt Ryan had a really good MVP type season. I think that he's quote unquote an empty numbers type of guy. But it's really discerning to me that Matt Stafford is gaining this narrative as like being the guy that blows games. Now, I understand that Matt Stafford
Matt Ryan.
Yeah. I mean Matt Ryan, sorry. The Colts had a 33-0 lead and they lost that game 39-36.
Mm-hmm.
And then we all know the famous, blow up of the Super Bowl against the Patriots where it was 28-3. Now, first thing, it's kind of like the conversation we had last week on the show with Mike Mock, where like the kind of the quote unquote pet peeve of the quarterback matchups. Like Brady versus Manning, and it's like but they don't play each other,
right?
And all that type of stuff. Matt Ryan doesn't play defense, and Matt Ryan does not coach. Matt Ryan, now I don't know what his completion numbers were. And I don't know what his yards were. But Matt Ryan in the game against the Vikings did not throw an interception, did not fumble the football. Matt Ryan committed no turnovers. Now, the offense flatlined, but he did not give the game away.
Mm-hmm.
In the Super Bowl, Matt Ryan did not throw an interception in the second half. Matt Ryan didn't throw an interception at all, but he didn't throw an interception in the second half. Matt Ryan fumbled in that game on a pretty pretty big sack. And I think it was from behind.
Mm-hmm.
And he lost the ball, which happens all the time in the NFL. So Matt Ryan in these two blown games of his. Now, I don't understand why there isn't more pressure on, first of all, this Colts loss is more on the owner than it is on the coaching. The Dan Quinn coaching job in Atlanta, that's on him, and defensive coordinators and the players. On the Colts side of it, same type of deal, the defensive coordinators and the players. But this is what happens when you're Jim Irsay, the owner of the Colts, who inherited the team and didn't buy it, didn't earn it, and keeps making these decisions and brings in a coach with no experience above the high school level of coaching. What do you expect?
Yeah.
I don't understand the narrative of Matt. People ask the question, is this hurting Matt Ryan's ability to maybe go to Canton? This shouldn't have anything to do with Matt Ryan's Hall of Fame.
Right. 100%. Ability. It's unfortunate that, he's been the quarterback of these two, comebacks. It's unfortunate, but you're absolutely right. You got a head coach who's in his third NFL game. As aforementioned, no prior experience other than the high school level. This is on him. It's on the Irsays. It's all upper Indianapolis. And
in the Super Bowl, let's go through this just for ha-has.
Mm-hmm.
All right. In the Super Bowl, coming out of the half, this was the first drive for the Falcons. Blow up running play for -3 yards, 7-yard completion for Matt Ryan, and then an incomplete pass punt. Okay, so 1 for 1. Then Matt Ryan comes out and throws a touchdown to Tevin Coleman to make it 28-3. Okay. Then the next game, Matt Ryan, 9-yard completion, offensive holding penalty to make it 2nd and 11 after a -1 yard rush, an incomplete pass to Hooper, and then Matt Ryan sacked. Now, keep in mind, Matt Ryan's not a mobile quarterback, so he's not running himself into a sack. It means a pocket collapse.
Yep.
Okay, so Matt Ryan was sacked to end that one. Then the next drive that the Falcons had, 8-yard run, 1-yard run, and then Matt Ryan was sacked for -11 yards and fumbled. Okay.
I'm seeing a trend.
Then the next drive, Matt Ryan comes out, 39-yard pass, 2-yard rush, 27-yard pass completion, then a -1 yard run, then Matt Ryan was sacked again, then a 9-yard completion, but an offensive holding, which made it 3rd and 33, and then Matt Ryan threw an incomplete pass, a deep incomplete ball on 3rd and 33. So basically a Hail Mary.
Yeah.
And then the last drive that Matt Ryan had started off with a penalty on started off with bad field position because of a defensive penalty on the kick. Matt Ryan threw a 12-yard pass, then he threw a 4-yard pass. Then he spiked the ball to stop the clock, because at this point I think it was a tie game and they were trying to win it. He threw an incomplete. Then he threw a completion to Hooper deep down the field that was overturned because Hooper didn't have his feet in bounds.
Mm-hmm.
And then they punted. So, to me, I mean, I heard that Matt Ryan completed 2 passes of over 25 yards, and I would say probably was in the realm of 60% completion.
Yeah. I mean,
it was 3 times and maybe got 30 yards of total rush offense as support.
Yeah.
That's the Falcons' explosion.
Yeah, I mean, in the recap you just provided, penalties in sacks and poor running is not representative of Matt Ryan, passing.
Keep in mind, too, the defense that held them to 3 points in the first half and got a defensive touchdown. In the first half, that the Falcons defense forced a fumble, had a pick 6, and held them to 3 points. Then proceeded to give up in a punt, a touchdown, a field goal, a touchdown, a touchdown, and then let them walk right down the field for another touchdown in overtime.
Yeah.
So I don't know any of that's Matt Ryan's fault. Now let's move to the Colts game. And I'm not saying you're saying this. I'm just saying. Now let's move to the Colts game. Okay, so let's go play by play. So again, Colts defense and special teams that held them to a 33-0, so pitched a shutout in the first half, was able to hold the Vikings defense. They blocked a punt for a touchdown, got a fumble turnover, held the Vikings on downs, held them on downs again, and had a pick 6. Then in the second half, the Colts defense gave up this was their drives. Punt, touchdown, 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 an interception. They did get an interception. Touchdown, turnover on downs, touchdown. Matt Ryan, let's see. First one. Jackson for a 6-yard rush. Then a neutral zone infraction. Then a 2-yard rush for Jackson. An incomplete pass by Matt Ryan, and then a 6-yard pass from Matt Ryan, and then a penalty on Indianapolis for delay a game on the punt. So that's not his fault.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so 50% completion. Then Matt Ryan led him down the field to kick a field goal. Then on the next play, Zach Moss for 3 yards, 2 incompletions from Matt Ryan, 1 short, 1 deep. Okay, so the incompletions. We get it. Michael Pittman, 11-yard rush. Jackson, 5-yard run. Matt Ryan, incomplete pass, and then a Matt Ryan -1 yard pass on a screenplay. So again, not Matt Ryan's fault. That's play calling.
Yep.
Next one, incomplete pass. Zach Moss for -2 yards. Matt Ryan, deep incomplete pass. So they got set up into a 3rd and long because of a bad run. Boom. Then the next play, Jackson, 1-yard rush, fumbles. Minnesota gets the ball back. Then the next drive, the Colts run the ball on 1st down for 11 yards. Then they run it for 1 yard. Minnesota calls a timeout. Then they run it for 1 yard. Minnesota calls a timeout. Then they run it for 5 yards. Minnesota calls a timeout. And then Matt Ryan tried to do a quarterback sneak on 4th and 1. So that's play calling. That's not on Matt Ryan. I mean, again.
Also, too, quick note, that was very close. That could have gone either way. In fact, when I watched it in the replay, I thought he had it both times. I was surprised it got overturned.
Then the next one, Matt Ryan sacked for -8 yards. Okay. Then Matt Ryan, 13-yard completion. Now it's 3rd and 5. Matt Ryan, pass for 4 yards. 4th and 1. Colts are getting ready to go for it. False start. Now they have to punt. And then in overtime, Matt Ryan passed to Pittman for 15 yards. Matt Ryan sacked. Matt Ryan incomplete short. Matt Ryan to Pittman for 9 yards. Ryan to Pittman again. Ryan incomplete, and then they had to punt. So in that one, I'll give it to you. Maybe 45 to 50% completion. Sacked 3 times. 2 penalties. It's like what did Matt Ryan do? Like what did he do to surrender a 33-point lead?
Right, and all that time, you think about when the Colts offense doesn't have the ball, the Vikings do have the ball, and they're scoring touchdowns.
Right. So the defense is lacklustering out there. The offense is going out. Now, here's the thing too. They know. The Vikings defense knew they're gonna run the ball and they're gonna do dink and dunk passes. They're gonna keep it inbounds. They're gonna keep the clock running, and they're gonna try to chew as much time up as they can. They're not gonna come out here and risk throwing this game away by coming out and immediately trying to throw a 45-yard deep ball for a touchdown.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately,
as the Colts, this is our game plan. We know the Vikings know our game plan. So let's draw this up so that it goes a different way. And here's the thing, and I stand by this. We're having a completely different conversation if Jonathan Taylor doesn't get hurt.
Yeah, I agree.
The conversation we're having is that the Vikings mounted a comeback attempt, but fell short.
Yeah, and
it irritates me that like Matt Ryan is accused of being the guy that blew these games.
Yeah, it's totally unfair.
In reality, in both games, Matt Ryan did nothing wrong. I'd have to go back and look at the footage to see what the sack was that caused the fumble against the Patriots. Was that a bad fumble or was it? 'Cause I don't remember it being a bad fumble. I remember it being a better play on the defense. Mm-hmm. But even still, if you fumbled once, you were up 28-3.
Yeah,
your defense. All they had to do was stop them 3 times. They were allowed to give up 3 touchdowns. You know what I mean? And
yeah.
33-0. They were allowed to give up fucking 5 touchdowns.
Yeah, basically
it was 36-3. 5 fucking touchdowns. That was their leeway.
You figure on average, like on a second half, a half of football, you get maybe 5 or 6 possessions. Just kind of the way that
Mm-hmm.
the timing works. And the Vikings took advantage literally on every single one of their possessions. I mean, I audibly said out loud that Jeff Saturday should have been fired after that performance. Like, unfortunately, you can't fire your owner. It doesn't work that way. But
That's just it. It's Jimmy Irsay is the problem. I mean, Jimmy Irsay is one of the most outspoken guys about Dan Snyder being removed from ownership rights of the Washington Commanders, and Irsay is just as big of a fucking joke. I mean, Jim Irsay wanted to draft Ryan Leaf over Peyton Manning.
yeah, and
That
then,
was and I mean, like we don't know, we know what we know, blah blah blah, and this and that. But it's like, what the fuck?
yeah, the whole thing. And don't get me wrong, like as a person, I like Jeff Saturday. I have no beef with him. I think I liked when he was doing commentary on ESPN and whatnot. The whole thing is very bizarre, and I don't really care for it. I'm kind of indifferent, but at the same time, I kind of think that there's coaches on that staff that deserved an opportunity before he did. And this for me is just kind of like the icing on the cake. Like this is embarrassing.
Yeah.
You have this happen after what shady business kind of went on. You look foolish, and I think that something has to be held accountable. And unfortunately, I think that has to be Jeff Saturday.
Yeah.
Ugly. But from a plain football stand, it was fun. The comeback, as long as it's not your team, is always fun.
Yeah, right.
And another thing, like, can't the Bills just have anything?
The Bills?
Yeah, because they had the best comeback until that day.
Oh, yeah. No, they can't.
Yeah, it's just like, of course.
The Bills have 4 straight Super Bowl losses.
Yeah. And not that this is really a connection, but the quarterback when the Bills came back was Frank Reich, of which Jeff Saturday replaced.
Yeah, it's true. I hadn't even thought of that.
Some fun NFL trivia for you guys playing at home.
For some of you guys playing.
But yeah. Did you want to talk some World Cup?
Yeah, I mean we can. So so the World Cup was, it was very exhilarating. We kind of talked about it. So you had the Cinderella story. I think last week we talked a little about it. The Cinderella story in Morocco. Morocco was a team that I don't believe ever got out of the final 16. I believe they'd made it through the group stages before, but then they'd always lost. They managed to win in the round of 16, win in the round of 8, make it all the way to the final 4, and then their Cinderella story came to an end, and not a gross way. They did lose 2-0 to France, but they put up a hard fight. They had opportunities. They didn't make it easy. And I think a lot of people, in the sports world, you can kind of see it when you have a team that's like going that well. We don't see it in the NFL. I've always been a proponent that I think what the NFL should do is whatchamacallit. I think I would like to see the NFL do some sort of playing for third place type of thing. I know it's like doesn't really like work like that because it's not you don't get medals and trophies for it, but
right.
So like in the NFL, we don't see the loser of the NFC game and the loser of the AFC game go at it. But let's just say in a world we did. So the equivalent of it is for a lot of Americans, you got to kind of put things into an American perspective because they don't really know. But let's just say we were in a world where like in the NFC we had the fucking I don't know, we had the 49ers and the Eagles going at it in the NFC Championship game. And then on the AFC side of things, you had the Bills, who have been like a juggernaut, and then you also have what's like a surprising AFC team that's gonna like are there other surprising AFC teams?
Well, I mean, maybe the Chargers.
Nah, because the Chargers are the Chargers. So let's reverse the script. Let's say you got Chiefs Bills going at it in the AFC, and then let's say like the Giants are able to put some shit together and they play the fucking Eagles in the NFC Championship game. Then the Eagles win and put an end to the Cinderella story that is the Giants.
Mm-hmm.
The Giants are not going to 99 times out of 100 aren't going to rebound from that and then destroy the team that is better than them in the third place game. So Morocco ended up losing to Croatia, which, you know, I think a lot of people would have kind of suspected. Croatia is the much better team. You know, they were in the World Cup 4 years ago. And then the game, I mean, like, for someone who, if you don't know soccer at all, you know, and I don't pretend to be a juggernaut, I'm not. But if you don't know soccer at all, you know, and you look up the highlights and the talking points of the game, you're going to see Lionel Messi from Argentina, you're going to see Kylian Mbappe from France. And so, you know, it'd be the same thing if you didn't know anything about basketball and you looked up the Lakers playing the Miami Heat. You would see Jimmy Butler's name and you would see LeBron James's name. Mm-hmm. And those two guys went out and did everything that you could ever ask from them to do for their teams and put on a show to show why they're the stars. I mean, the Messi scored a penalty kick like in the 21st minute or something like that, and then Argentina scored again, and they were up 2-0. And then in the 80th minute, Mbappe scored a penalty, and then he scored another goal to make it 2-2. They went to extra time. Argentina scored earlier on. Mbappe came back and scored again to score a hat trick, which is insane to do in the fucking World Cup. And then took it to penalties and converted on his penalty attempt in the penalty shoot. And there was so much drama. There was just everything that you could have wanted from a game like that. There was good defense. There was good, you know, good aggressive fouls, but nothing malicious. And something that we're not really accustomed to from an American standpoint, outside of maybe the Olympics on a basketball stage. And I think is interesting is normally what happens is, so in soccer you have club play, which is very big in Europe, although it does happen almost entirely around the world. Mm-hmm. And so you have a French team called PSG, Paris Saint-Germain. And on that team, Lionel Messi and Kylian Mbappe are teammates. And they just face each other in the World Cup. Now, usually what happens is the World Cup is played in the summer after all the club play, because the club play goes in the fall. They take a break for a month or so during like the Christmas time to mid-January, and then they pick back up and they play again. Well, because of the World Cup, club play has been put on the hiatus, and they're going to pick right back up in probably a couple weeks. And, you know, it's just going to be, you know, I find it interesting from the standpoint of like, are these guys going to talk about this? Because like the closest thing we really have to that in American sports is if you watch any sort of Olympic basketball, because you'll see times where like the United States will play France, and you'll see, you know, Evan Fournier and Rudy Gobert for France going at it against, you know, like Karl Anthony Towns on, you know, America and these guys that they might be teammates with. And, you know, but it's weird. It's like, you know, it's in America, the basketball is the only sport that is played at the Olympic level, you know, because American football's not in the Olympics. Baseball's been removed from the Olympics, I believe, right?
Yeah, they just kind of adapted to do the
World Baseball Classic.
Yeah, yeah.
So baseball's not in the Olympics. Hockey's in the Winter Olympics. But the Winter Olympics are kind of like the second seat type of thing. But like in America, from an American standpoint, winning an NBA championship is way more honorable than winning a gold medal in the Olympics. If you played 12 years in the NBA and you went to no NBA championships, but you won 3 gold medals, you're lower on the totem pole than the guy that never played on the Olympic team but won 1 championship in his career. And it's kind of funny how it works, because in America it's different.
Yeah, it's just an odd stigma. I don't really understand it.
Right. Well, and the other thing too that makes it very interesting too is, from an American standpoint, is there was a lot of discussion on whether or not like Lionel Messi was like the GOAT and whatever and all this stuff, because Americans love to do that, and not that there's anything wrong with that, but soccer is not an American sport; it's an international sport, like boxing, like golf, and you look at it from the standpoint of like, in America we judge how great a player is based on statistics, but winning,
right?
And a lot of Americans would have the argument that Lionel Messi is not the best of all time because he had never won a World Cup. Most of the world would not make that argument. He didn't need the World Cup. And so it's interesting to see, how the Americans' view of sports compares to that of the rest of the world. In America, what's the common phrase? How many rings does he have?
Right.
Nobody's getting fitted for a World Cup ring. Like that.
Yeah, it's super interesting, and kind of like as a whole, how long the World Cup. I mean, not that I was really paying attention, but I was, I guess, more aware this time around how long that it ran for, and just like how much it's important to so many people. Not that I'm not trying to say that. Oh, I never gave a shit or anything like that. It's just something that I'm more or less just been indifferent to. I acknowledge what it is, and I understand that hey, this is important. But this time around, for whatever reason, it felt more like it seemed like it was more like I was encountering it more in my day-to-day life, if that makes any sense, like for the first time.
The thing too, and there's on the Tony Kornheiser show, there's a gentleman, a British guy on the show that's friendly with Tony, called, his name is Nigel, and he said it. The thing with America is America in the next 40 years will, like everyone always, for the next 4 years, blah blah blah. America will never be able to compete with the rest of the world on a soccer stage, because our best young athletes as children don't play soccer. They play basketball and football.
Mm-hmm.
And you're seeing that shift, like our best young athletes are playing basketball and football. Whereas, 50 years ago, our best young athletes were playing football and baseball. And 50 years before that, our best young athletes were playing baseball. And you look at it now and it's like, yes, there are extreme talents out there. There are people that are really good, but like in the baseball world, like being able to hit is, yes, it's an athletic feat, but it's not pure athleticism. But you look at like the freaks of nature athletes in the MLB in the early 2020s to late 2010s versus the late 90s to early 2000s, and it's a completely different realm. Back then you had the Mark McGuires, the Sammy Sosas, the Frank Thomas, the Ken Griffey Juniors, the Randy Johnsons, like all these guys, and now it's not so much that, you know what I mean? Like you have the Mike Trouts, you have the whatever. It's like our best athletes are playing football and they're playing basketball. They're not playing soccer. When you walk through any part of America, you're going to see a basketball court. You're going to see a flag football field. You're not going to see, a soccer net. You're not going to see a soccer goal. You're not going to walk down the street and see 6 kids barefoot running up and down the street, dribbling a soccer ball back and forth, kicking it to friends. You're going to see them throwing a football around.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what you're going to see. And until more of our youth starts playing soccer, we're never going to be able to compete with them. Never.
And it's interesting you mentioned that, and this is not like a great example because it's television, but exactly what you just kind of alluded to, like, in Ted Lasso, you see like in the neighborhoods, the kids are just they're playing soccer, and just it's kind of it's their pickup. I have almost never noticed that from like even like when I was young to seeing kids now, it doesn't occur.
Right. It's just like, yeah, it's not the culture here. It's not. And so until it develops more of that culture, you're never going to see it. And our country is segmented just like any other country would be, but like, and that's where the problem lies, though, is the segmentation in sports. America wants to be this big country in the terms of they want to be this big country in terms of soccer when it comes to like the World Cup and all that. And keep in mind, it's only the World Cup they want to do it, and they don't give a shit about the MLS or anything like that. It's just being this juggernaut against the rest of the world.
Right.
America's number one. We're number one. That's how it goes. And man, sorry, it was the end of the half. Aaron Rodgers was doing his vintage, I'm going to scramble around and throw a deep ball, and he couldn't do it against a 3-man rush. He got sacked.
Real quick side note.
Well, hold on, let me finish my thought.
Yep.
So the point being, was like, you go to France, you go to Germany, you go to Brazil, Argentina, even South Africa, Ecuador, Egypt, any of these places. Soccer is soccer across the entire country. You look at America, and it's like, oh, like, where do the best baseball players come from? Well, the best baseball players in the United States of America come from the upper East Coast. They come from the West Coast. They come from, the Midwest. Where do all our best football players come from? Most of the best football players come from the South.
Yep.
They come from up north. Our country, you look at it like baseball is nothing in Florida. It's nothing in Texas, college and fucking high school baseball. It's nothing. Up north, high school football doesn't hold a T to fucking high school basketball.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like our country isn't even set on one sport. So how can you expect our country to be top of the line in a worldwide sport?
Yeah, and the advertising isn't even there. The
Right.
only thing, I mean, like you said, they cared about the World Cup. I saw plenty of commercials with like John Hamm as Santa Claus. Like, what I want for Christmas, I want the U.S. to win the World Cup. I hadn't seen any soccer themed commercial for anything otherwise.
No, right. The only reason that, in my opinion, the only reason the United States is so big into caring about how they perform in the World Cup is because it is a tangible, measurable way to compare ourselves to other countries.
Mm-hmm.
And America is very big on the, we're America, we're number one. And so it irritates Americans that they're not even in the realm of top 15 in the world when it comes to this specific thing. So it's my take.
Hey, it's a good take.
Oh my God, the Bruins are beating the Panthers 7-3. Jesus.
I was curious how Aaron Rodgers was doing like stat wise, because I in fantasy I kind of did something I don't like to do. I played my quarterback versus my defense, being Geno versus San Fran, and it didn't yield terrible for me. It didn't go super great. I'm going to lose, but I was just curious if as of now that I make the wrong decision by not playing Rodgers.
108 and a pick.
Okay, so
he's probably he probably has you 4 points right now.
All right, so at this stage, nothing really to worry about.
Nope. I'm officially eliminated from, I think, being able to win pick'em, so I'm gonna stop making my picks.
Oh, come on. Listen, don't give up.
No, I'll make my picks. But I had a bad week.
I think I ended up having an okay week.
Oh, you're having a great week. You're in first this week.
Oh, am I?
Yeah, so I mean, I picked Atlanta to beat New Orleans, which for 7, so that bit me in the ass. I picked Carolina to beat the Patriots or beat the Steelers. I picked Baltimore to beat Cleveland because I thought that Hundley was going to be better than that. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I did pick Denver to win, but I picked New England to beat Vegas, which you and Mock both picked Vegas. The Washington pick backfired in my face.
I think I picked Washington too.
Yeah, Dallas was big points.
Yeah, I think I definitely picked Dallas.
Yeah, you did. You picked them for 13. Yeah, but because like all the other ones, you were fine. So, yeah, a little bit of a bummer, but it is what it is. It is what it is. At least I'm not going to finish.
It is unfortunate. I get it. Like, if you miss a week or whatever, the incentive isn't really there. But I mean, I would like, let's say for whatever reason I did miss a week doing pickups, I would still participate because why not? It's easy. It takes you 2 seconds, even if your heart's not in it. Press the buttons.
I tell you what, Pat in our friend league, man, did he have a fucking week?
Did he?
Dude, he put up 178, and that's with Devontae Adams only putting up 7 points.
Wow, and that was versus Mock, right?
Yeah. Oh, he smoked Mock by like 40 points. Because Mock put up 140 because he had a big week from Barkley. He had a big week from Eckler. He had an okay week from Eckler. Evan Ingram did decent. Peoples-Jones did good. Chase did good. What hurt him was Stephon Diggs only got 10 points, and Daniel Jones didn't even get 10 points. But so Pat started Trevor Lawrence, 39. Godwin got him 23. McKinnon got him 35. Dawson Knox got him 22. I mean, the guy just put up fucking points.
Yeah, man. Well, good for him.
Yeah, I wonder if Mock's kicking himself in the ass for starting Robinson from Washington because he put up 11 points. A.J. Dillon already has 15 points. And I don't think it really would have mattered that much because, like I said, he's chasing fucking almost 40 points. But it's just funny.
Yeah, I was a little disappointed because not that really would have mattered that much because I think I only left like 12 points on the bench, but that Zonovanite kid didn't do much of anything.
Yeah, I gotta try to convince. I gotta text Pat see if we can convince him to drop Chase Claypool.
Oh, so you can
start all the Bears, which is pretty much immediate disaster because the week that I'm going to have the ability to do that with the Bears, start all the Bears in the consolation bracket, is the week that they're playing the Bills. It's funny. The Bears are playing the Bills in Chicago, and Chicago's supposed to be like, I think at kickoff, I think it's supposed to be 2 degrees with like a chance of like accumulation of like 18 inches of snow during the game.
Wow.
Yeah, it's real Bills-Bears weather right there.
I was going to say, I mean, there's really only one super comparison, and that would be kind of like Buffalo and Chicago for kind of that sharing the same type of in the elements during the winter. Like
the 2 real in the elements teams, but one can't because they play in a dome, would be Buffalo, Minnesota.
Yeah.
But, that's why Minnesota plays in a dome. I have a feeling that, especially given the Bills having to relocate, I have a feeling that the NFL is going to, I don't know. I have this feeling that the NFL is going to do something in the next 10 years where they're going to initiate that, like, any stadium renovations or new stadium builds are going to be required to have a dome.
So not have to reschedule if inclement weather happens.
Well, yeah, exactly. Not have to reschedule because like, and it's tough though because I look at it from the standpoint of like, okay, so let's say like that Bills game for example, that game, even if there was a dome and there was no snow in the field, they still would have not been able to play because there wasn't safe enough travel conditions to get.
Where would they park? Where would people park?
Right, so it's from like my standpoint is that like what is the dome really doing? It's not doing anything. It's preventing there from being snow and rain on the field. I mean, I don't know. I just feel like you're eliminating. Like I understand the cold component. That's the one thing I could understand is if they were going to do okay, we're going to do domes and stuff too because we want to eliminate the playing. Why should the Texans who why should the Texans have to fucking play one game every 4 years in fucking Buffalo where it's -8? In December or something like that. Like I can get the component because like it's one of those things where it's like it's kind of like the luck of the draw of the way the schedule gets drawn up. You know what I mean? Like the Texans could not have to play. The Texans could play 16 games in fucking 60+ degree weather and then have to randomly go travel to an 8-degree game in Buffalo.
Yeah,
I understand that standpoint, but like to me, like taking the elemental thing, like taking wind and rain and stuff out of the game, because my thing is if a team, like from a cold standpoint, I understand it because the Texans are not accustomed to playing in colder weather. So to go up and play the Bills in the middle of December, for example, it would be a disadvantage for the Texans, but not a disadvantage for the Bills.
right.
But playing in a downpour or playing in 40-mile-an-hour gust it's the same advantage or disadvantage to both teams. That's why like we talked about that, you and I privately, not on the podcast, but like the game where the everyone was shitting on the Bears beating the 49ers week 1 because of how poor the weather conditions were. And it was like the Bears played in the same weather. Their offense went out and played in the same weather that the 49ers offense played in.
Yeah.
So how did the Bears have any advantage?
Yeah,
the only be that the Bears just have a little bit more knowledge of how their field is in that rain. But still, anybody who's playing professional football played fucking kill the carrier in the mud as a kid.
Yeah, and where the 49ers play in with Santa Clara or whatever, it rains there. It rains hard. Like it's not like they've never experienced rain. People are ridiculous.
The environmental element out of the game, to me, it's just. I understand why the NFL would want to do it, and they would want to do it for one of two reasons. It would be one that it equates to higher scoring games, because when you're playing in really windy conditions or you're playing in really rainy conditions, it's going to hinder the offense's ability to score. Even if you had the Chiefs playing the Bills, it's not going to be a fucking 28-24 game.
Right. It's
a 17-16 game or some shit like that. So they want the offense. Offense is sexy. Defense isn't to the average NFL viewer. We're different people, Kendall. We come from a different breed of NFL. And we come from franchises where stout defense and being able to run the ball on 3rd and 6 and know you're going to get the first down is football. That's football. But most fan bases don't have that. And then the other venture to it would be that if conditions are perfect and completely level, you're going to more times than not see the better teams win, which to me is a disservice, because then you like the Cowboys, for example, losing to the Jaguars makes it that much uglier for the Cowboys. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like nobody is talking about the 49ers losing an ugly game against the Bears week 1 because the 49ers bounced back and they wrote the ship and they're doing well. But the Cowboys losing to the Jaguars week 15 is going to be a stain on the on their NFL record this year.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, I don't know. Yeah, fuck the Packers.
I'll second that.
Yeah. I think the thing I hate most about like the Green Bay fan base is like there's this one guy that dresses in like a Green Bay themed mariachi outfit, and just like why? For what reason is that a thing? Makes me sick to my stomach.
I enjoyed did you see that? I think it was obviously it was Philadelphia, where they did cream cheese hats in the Philadelphia.
That's
cream
funny.
cheese. I enjoyed that a lot.
There was a stint for a little while when the like there were Bears fans that would show up in cheese grater hats, and I remember
Yeah,
really wanting one of
I
those.
remember
And then
that.
I thought to myself like, why did they make these? They lose to the Packers pretty much exclusively.
Yeah, but I mean,
No,
historically,
it's a funny thing.
I mean, that's a great hat. It's very clever. I'm surprised the like other teams in the like NFC North don't all do that.
Yeah,
I mean, that could be like a universally shared thing against the Packers. I don't. That's
31
perfect.
NFL teams could find a reason to use that hat once every 4 years.
Yeah, exactly.
So what are you gonna do? All right, so we'll wrap up in about a half hour. So do you have anything else you want to discuss sports related? Do you want to just get off topic and go Christmassy?
Yeah, let's get Christmassy.
The NFL slate for Christmas is awful. I think we talked about it last week. All three games look like fucking shit. And then the holiday special, which is the Christmas Eve game, is the Steelers Raiders.
Yeah, that'll be the 50th anniversary of the Immaculate Reception.
Oh, will it?
Yeah.
That's a real bummer because you guys can't beat the Raiders, so you know how that game's gonna end.
Yeah, well, I'm hoping some ridiculous nonsense happens for the Steelers again.
We got Jacksonville and the Jets on Thursday. On Saturday, we got Buffalo Bears, Saints, Browns, Texas Titans, Seahawks, Chiefs, Giants, Vikings, Bengals, Patriots, Lions, Panthers, Falcons, Ravens, Commanders, 49ers, and then Eagles, Cowboys Saturday at the 4:25 game, and then Raiders, Steelers. I got to be honest with you. I'm surprised they didn't flex the Eagles, Cowboys to the night game.
Yeah, I mean,
What's also weird is guess who has the televising rights for that Saturday night game, Raiders, Steelers?
who?
NFL Network.
Oh,
Very surprised.
I personally, I really dislike the NFL Network crew.
Yeah, the NFL Network is the worst broadcasting for a game.
And like even that like analyst panel, it's like
so bad.
Like as standalone people, I can tolerate them, but like the group of Ryan Fitzpatrick, Richard Sherman, Tony Gonzalez, whoever that girl is, and like Whitworth, there's no chemistry. It's
Wait,
like
I thought that was Amazon.
Well, I think they do both.
Oh, I say, aren't those the guys that do the Thursday night halftime?
Yeah, and I think they do the NFL. I could be wrong. I think they do the NFL Network too.
Did you see? Did you watch the Eagles Dolphins game or the Dolphins Bills game this week?
Yeah.
Did you see Steve Smith at halftime wearing goggles so he didn't get hit with a snowball?
No, I didn't see that.
Oh, they were doing the halftime. He was wearing fucking goggles because they were throwing snowballs. Like you could just like see his face. His face was reading like, if I get hit with a fucking snowball, I'm gonna kill somebody. Yeah. So like the Christmas games, because the Monday night game is Colts Chargers. Ooh, but the Christmas games are fucking Packers Dolphins, Broncos Rams, Bucks Cardinals. Woof.
Yeah, man. So did they, as a whole, they kind of flexed it so Christmas Eve would have the bulk of the games?
Yeah, so there's only 3 games on Christmas Day, so that like every game it's like Thanksgiving. Every game's a primetime game.
Yeah.
So, like it's not. There's no multiple games going on. And like my thing is like I personally, I'm of the standpoint. I think it's absolutely god awful that they even allow any sport to fucking have games on a holiday like that. I understand not everybody celebrates Christmas, but we're in America. It's fucking people. I mean, like, think about it. Like, the night game. The night game is Bucks Cardinals. So if you think about it, every Tampa Bay player has to be away from their family because the game's at night.
Yeah.
And they're not going to be able to get back until the next day. Because, the Arizona Cardinals, after the game's over, or before the game, in the morning, they can fucking open up presents with their kids. Even if it's at 6 a.m., they can do it.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, too. And it's only very recently, to my knowledge, the NFL really didn't play on Christmas. Now, we could go back and look at games played in the 70s and 80s and whatnot, and maybe they did, but when we were young, that was like exclusively an NBA thing. I'm like 90% positive that unless something weird happened, that NFL didn't play on Christmas Day. It just they would.
And what's even more is what the NFL, what the NBA does. They don't play games on Christmas Eve.
Yeah, I mean, that way at least the players can enjoy time with their family on one or the other day. Like,
right?
If
the NBA usually does, on Christmas Day they usually do 5 games starting from 11 and going down. Like tip off at 11, and the final game I think starts at 8.
Yeah, and that football only playing on 3 days of the week, but in this particular instance where the NFL is like, hey, we're just going to do whatever we want. Why not just have all the games be on Saturday? You do Thursday, Saturday, and do a Monday nighter just for this particular instance. It makes no sense. It's a ratings draw. It's crap.
Yeah, and then on top of it, you're going to do it, and you go out and you put up this fucking product. You know what I mean? Like and I understand, like, we didn't know where the NFL was going to be at this time of the year when they did the scheduling, but even still, like Tampa and Arizona, fucking, like, if you do it, like, do fucking like if you're going to do Giants Eagles, like a game where like the fucking players can go home after.
Yeah. And, I could think of really one time that I kind of like really sat and devoted the time to watching a game. And I think you were living at the house at the time when it was Steelers Ravens on like Christmas Day. And that was the only time I ever like really devoted the 3.5 hours or whatever to a game because.
And the only reason you could do it was because that was the 8:00 game.
Yeah. And like otherwise, just like as much as I love football, I kind of just want to be doing other things.
Right.
Like,
I don't know.
It is what it is, I guess.
Does the MLB play games on the 4th of July?
It's a good question. My gut would be yes, just because of the number of games they play, and yeah, I think they do because I think there's times where they wear like the specialty hats. I think it's just kind of like it's very tough for them
to not play games.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I can't really think of a.
No, that makes sense. I mean, I foresee them playing games. I wasn't sure if that was like one of those, like, universally, like everybody had the day off kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, I think it could be like if the 4th of July fell during the middle of the week, like on a Thursday, the MLB could very well just schedule it so nobody. The weekends would make it tough because it's just kind of how the schedule works. It's like MLB operates from like Friday to Wednesday. For series.
Okay, let's see. I can look up this. They already released the schedule, so let's see.
Yeah, that's a nice question. I feel like I definitely, because now it's like, hey, we can make a special hat for this and sell it at Lids.
Yeah. On the 4th of July in 2023, all 30 teams are playing.
Yeah. There we have it.
All 30 teams are playing. And some of them are like real fucking hauls. The Blue Jays are going to play the White Sox. Atlanta's going to Cleveland. Got Baltimore and the Yankees, so that's close. Colorado's going to Houston. The Mets are going to Arizona.
Oh, perfect.
Oakland's going to Detroit. Philadelphia's going to Tampa. Pittsburgh's going to LA. Seattle's going to San Francisco. I mean, it's close, but like it's not a car ride close. Texas is going to Boston. St. Louis is going to Florida. Kansas City's going to Minnesota. That's not a car ride close. Chicago's going to Milwaukee. That's close. Los Angeles is going to San Diego. That's close. And then Cincinnati's going to Washington.
Yeah, but like for the most part, the entire schedule comprises of, hey, you got a ways to go.
But at the same time, though, it's like the 4th of July is different than Christmas. You know
Yeah,
I mean?
right.
You're missing a barbecue, like whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's just a different thing.
Celebrating the 4th of July is like the point of celebrating the 4th of July is to celebrate, you know, your country and your nationalism. Versus like Christmas is you're supposed to spend time with your family.
Exactly.
Aaron Rodgers probably wanted to play on Christmas.
Yeah. That's one of my like favorite things to hate on him for. Just because like
I know we actually know zero things about the actual.
Yeah, exactly. But it's like more fun to just speculate that he's an asshole.
Yeah, love it. Oh, Jalen Ramsey's mad. They called illegal contact on him. Oh, he's pissed. Oh my god, he's so angry. What's the illegal contact? I mean, yeah, you're fucking pushing him out of the back of the end zone.
Yeah, well,
Dumb.
Talk about a guy who's on kind of like the tail end of his career.
I think you're starting to see a little bit of the swing. I think he's still a dominant corner, but I think you're starting to see a little more. I think you're starting to see people target him more. Now, Aaron Rodgers is one of those guys, like, he's not going to fucking shy away from Jalen.
Right.
Jalen. I mean, you're not going to see a fucking quarterback of Aaron Rodgers' caliber do that. But
like he'll throw 7 picks before he stops throwing his way.
Yeah, right. Did you want to try to squeeze in a holiday draft at all?
Yeah, I was trying to think, because, I mean, though it's just the two of us, if there was a way that we can do kind of like a draft without it being so anticlimactic with 2 people, you know what I mean?
Well, yeah, we just go back. You know, we just go back and forth. There's no snake order. I mean, we could do a Christmas draft. What are you thinking? You want to do Christmas? Like, do you want to do like dinner? Do you want to do? Oh man, AJ Dillon just scored another touchdown. Mock's pissed.
Oh, that's great.
Do you want to do just like Christmas, like everything Christmas goes?
Yeah. Why don't we do Christmas aspects? Because like I feel like Christmas dinner can be kind of like different for everywhere. Like Thanksgiving is more traditional. Like people tend to just eat the same type of things. I feel like
are we sticking with like anything of the Christmas season?
Yeah. I think all encompassing.
And you know what, Kendall? Because it's just the two of us, we don't need to keep track of things. I'm going to go one step further. I'm just going to let you have the first pick.
Oh, well, it's very kind of you. It's very much the Christmas spirit.
Yeah. You know me.
Give.
That's right.
All right.
What's the first overall pick? What's your favorite Christmas aspect? Favorite aspect of the holiday season?
My favorite aspect of the holiday season, I have always just enjoyed the decorations from like people's in their house with the trees and all that other stuff to, you know, the ridiculous way over the top. There's 27,000 light bulbs in their front yard, you know, set up. It's like
so you're gonna go with setting up Christmas decorations.
Yeah, I'll go with decorations, and
okay.
I like the no holds barred. Where hey, we're gonna really go over the top with all these different like flashing lights and whatnot. Because I mean, I myself wouldn't do it, but I really enjoy the time that someone else puts into it.
Yeah, I know. I get what you're saying. Right, like, see, like, you and I are the opposites. Like, you like, kind of like the awe of looking at other people's yards when you're driving through neighborhoods and seeing what they've done to their house. Whereas I'm the type of person where I don't want to go spend any time looking at someone else's house because I spent all this time on my fucking house.
Right, come look at my house.
And then there's your dad's who puts up icicle lights and leaves them up for 8 years.
Yeah. You know, I'll have to send you, he texted me, I want to say, we'll call it a week and a half ago, of like his setup, and like he changed out. He has recessed lighting in the exterior of the house that he has the blue bulbs to match. It's just like, it's so ridiculous. I love it.
He is the most absurd human being I've ever met in my entire life, and I love it.
And they have a lighthouse now, and like an operating lighthouse.
Hey, do you think your parents are pissed that they put all that work into that chain link fence just for the dog not to be there anymore? I asked your dad that, and he said no because he's like, oh, it like separates the yards. I'm like, it's a chain link fence. You can still see your neighbors.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, unless they get a dog, I don't know.
Right, like if it was a vinyl fence, it'd be different because then like you're blocking out your neighbors, but you can still see them.
I don't know. I'm just chalking up that, you know, my sister's dog has caused a lot of problems for everyone.
Yeah. All right, so you're gonna go to Christmas decorations. So that you actually kind of took my pick. My first pick was going to be setting up the Christmas tree.
Well, I mean, I guess we could do because that is a little bit different.
No, I think it kind of encompasses into the decorations. I think it's look for a 2-person draft. I think we can be a little bit more broad in terms. You know what I mean? If we were doing a full 5-person draft over 5 rounds, I think you'd have to pick a little bit more in terms of like setting up the tree, putting up the outside lights, things, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. Because I would say, for a lot of people, I think the decorating of the tree is a thing of its own. The ornaments that are going to go up and stringing lights and whatnot. It's sort of like it's very not a saga. That's not the right thing I'm trying to say. But it's like I don't know. It's like for some people, I think it's like it's a whole thing.
Well, I think it's kind of like like starting with like the tree. It's kind of like the first part of whatever your family's traditions are.
Mm-hmm.
Like some people, like in my house, the way we do it, my significant other and child like to put up the Christmas decor around the house. Like the little figurines and the garlands and the pictures and this and that. And I like to do the tree. So I build the tree, or I put the tree in the stand if we get a real one. I put the lights on it and I put all the ornaments on it. And they really don't contribute to that aspect. That's kind of our tradition. Whereas growing up, like at my dad's house, my dad and my stepmom, the tradition was always, we put on the Alabama Christmas album, and then my dad would put the lights on the tree, and then he would pull the ornaments out of the boxes and hand them to me, my little brother, and my stepmom, and we would put the ornaments on the tree, but he would never put ornaments on the tree. Everyone has different traditions, but it's kind of like the tradition of the season, and then you kind of go into it from there. I get it. So I'm gonna go with my first overall pick. Since you took the decorating aspect, I'm gonna go with something that's might be a little bit more exclusively to me versus you. But I'm gonna go with Christmas movies.
Okay.
I'm a huge Christmas movie guy. I love Christmas movies. Ironically, the biggest Christmas movie of our generation is like my least favorite Christmas movie.
Oh,
sorry.
Which one is that?
Sorry, Rebecca.
Oh, Elf. Yeah, I
hate that. I hate that movie. I hate it so much. I don't know what it is about it, but I just don't like it. But like National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, that ranks right at the top. But like Home Alone, the best Christmas movie ever, in my opinion. It's a Wonderful Life. So you get some of the old classics like that, White Christmas.
I was going to say that. I was going to ask you if that's your like your favorite, right? It's like kind of like
It's a Wonderful Life is number one, hands down. It's not even close. But then like I like the older ones, like the White Christmas movies and stuff like that. But then I also really enjoy the some of the like ones from like our parents' generation, like the National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. I enjoy the Home Alones, but I even enjoy like the bad ones, like the Vince Vaughn's, like the Four Christmases and the Fred Claus. I like watching the Grinch. I enjoy watching the. There's some newer ones that come out that I think were pretty good that Amelia like watched. What's his name? Kurt Russell was Santa Claus in this movie called like the Christmas Chronicles. I actually really enjoy that movie. Huh. It's a good Christmas movie. I'm not big on like the whole Nightmare Before Christmas thing, just because like to me it's not a Christmas movie. It's like not a Halloween movie. It's just like a movie that you watch because you like it.
Right. Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Like I don't know. It's not really a holiday specific movie, but the Santa Claus, that's a classic. It's funny. The two Christmas movies that I like the least are probably the two most popular Christmas movies: Elf and A Christmas Story.
I do.
I do like A Christmas Story, but TBS ruined it.
I was gonna say like there's no reason for that thing being a thing. Like I'm kind of with you. Like I like Elf for Rebecca. But that's about it. Like I've never even before her, I was like, oh man, we gotta watch Elf. That never happened for me. A Christmas Story, I think I'm more into it. Like I like that movie, but it's the type of thing like I'll watch it through on like Christmas Day, and then like if I watch it again, like it just needs to be 24 straight hours on TBS. Like that's absurd.
I know. I don't know who thought of that.
Yeah.
I hope they got fired.
Like in reality, what would make sense is if they picked, we'll call it 6 movies, and kind of ran them in mixed orders. So you had like from Christmas Eve through Christmas Day in the full 48 hours, you had like 3 opportunities to see these like whatever movies that we picked to be on rotation.
Yeah, and let's also go ahead and throw this into the mix too. We're not talking about movies that aren't Christmas movies but have a Christmas scene in them. You know, like I'm not talking about the fucking Harry Potter franchise.
Yeah, I don't know how they like shoehorned their way into the Christmas movie catalog. It just,
it's fucking ridiculous. Every time. All right, your pick.
Alrighty. I guess I will take here, and it's, I mean, sort of like a cop out. But I enjoy just kind of like the family, like not giving just like the being like in a, hey, let's like, you know, shoot the shit or whatever.
Yeah, the together camaraderie.
Yeah.
Oh, I get that. All right, I like that. I am going to go with a real personal favorite of mine, something that I know that you will not like the pick, but I really like Christmas music.
Yeah, I'm kind of a big hater.
Yeah, but I like, the thing for me is always like, I like the old Christmas songs. There's a few new ones that I can get on board with, but like you can pretty much miss me with all that like Michael Bublé shit.
Yeah, definitely out on that. I think.
I mean, I like the Mariah Carey song. It's a good song. I'm over how much we have to hear it, but like I like the Bing Crosby, the Frank Sinatra, the Nat King Cole. You know, like those.
I could stand behind those true classics like that. I think the biggest problem is there's only so many Christmas songs. Now, despite the Ariana Grandes of the world, they'll try to write new ones, and I don't know exactly where I stand on those, but there's only so many Christmas songs, and there's like 40 renditions of the same songs, and like all these places they just play them on repeat. It's just it kills me.
I tell you what, a Christmas song, the Christmas song by Nat King Cole, I think I could listen to that probably for about 3 straight hours.
Well, I'm like
I like the ambiance of it.
Yeah. I'm like that with Feliz Navidad, because the song is so ridiculous, because it's really, the song is built entirely on repetition. There's no build whatsoever to it. It just goes on and on in the same cadence the entire time.
Yeah. Well, and then there's the best Christmas song of all time.
What's that?
Dominic the Donkey.
Oh yeah, totally forgot about Dominic the Donkey.
Yeah, we almost like blew out Des Moines, Florida.
That's such a fond memory of us in college, and just, you know, the 45 people in a poorly built apartment, way too hot no matter what the season, in full Christmas sweaters, and Dominic the Donkey blaring as 45 people are jumping up and down, and the whole building shaking.
So funny. All right, I think you're up, right? Christmas music, the last one.
Yep.
Yeah. You're...
Okay. Then I will take the Christmas entrees here. So I think for a lot of people do ham.
So you're going like Christmas feast.
Yeah. So I'm excluding like appetizers and desserts, just kind of like the meat and potatoes of it all.
All right. So I'm gonna piggyback that with the Christmas baked goods.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, like the fucking Christmas, like the sugar cookies, the chocolate chip cookies, the gingerbread men, Buckeyes, peppermint bark, all that. You can shovel that all into my fucking mush.
Yeah, you got a favorite?
That's it. I mean, I think my favorite tasting is the Buckeye, but I couldn't eat like an inordinate amount of it. If I'm going for quality, it's the Buckeye. A quality made Buckeye is really good, which is kind of like funny to say because it's really just like it's like a thicker peanut butter, like balled up and dipped in chocolate. But like like the addition of the confectionate sugar and stuff like that, I enjoy it. But I couldn't eat like 10 of those. I can only eat like one or two. If we're going for quantity, I again, I know you're not a fan of this flavor profile, but I could fuck up some trays of peppermint bark.
Yeah, I get it. I know what you're saying.
Okay. It just irritates me so much that Mercedes Lewis is just good for one big catch a Packers game. 900 years old.
Yeah, I know it. Hey, I need quickly. Can you bail me out just a second? Can you talk about your peppermint bark while I quickly run to the bathroom?
Yeah. Well, I don't know, the peppermint bark aspect. I like it a whole lot. I mean, it's kind of a hoe to make with the double boiler. I mean, there are people that do the microwave melting of the chocolate and the white chocolate. I'm not really a fan of that, just from the aspect of I don't know. It doesn't feel like traditional. I like doing the glass bowl or the metal bowl over the pot of boiling water and melting down the chocolates and like the one first, line it in the pan, freeze it, do the second one, line it in the pan, freeze it, and then crunching up all the peppermint candy canes. You can do candy canes too. I saw someone do it one time. I couldn't believe it. They did it with like peppermint like lifesaver candies. Ugh, I'm so mad. It made me so fucking mad. And I think the thing that I like a lot about the peppermint bark too is that I'm not a big white chocolate fan.
No?
No, I'm not a big white chocolate fan. But I really, really, really enjoy the like frozen cold aspect of it. Yeah, I mean, not as much as I do as like AJ Dillon just rushing in his third touchdown of the game.
No way, really?
I mean, oh, never mind, Aaron Jones.
Well, hey, that didn't help me. That cements my loss.
No, what cemented your loss is that you were already losing going into the game.
Well, yes, that's very true.
Yeah, so I'll take the Christmas baked goods. I mean, I'm gonna go that route.
Yeah, it's a good pick.
All right, you're up.
All right. Let's see.
It's tough when you get really broad because you kind of eliminate a lot of things.
Yeah. I kind of enjoy the like the holiday themed parties. Like I kind of sort of just attended an ugly sweater party.
Yeah.
This was slightly different. So my sister threw a Grinch themed party, but more or less it was ugly sweater. Like it's just kind of like,
yeah. No, I get you, but you get a lot of those like theme type. Yeah, I get what you're saying. Well, yeah, those are good. Those are good. I don't like it, but those are good. Yeah, let's see. What am I picking here? What am I picking here? Christmas. You know what? I'm gonna go ahead and do this. I love. It's super stressful. For multiple reasons, but gift buying.
yeah.
I like it because like there's nothing. I don't know. I don't really find a lot of things better than like finding that like perfect gift and you're so smitten about it, and then like something like, for example, like something that I found for you. I found it back in like fucking September. I've been excited for 4 months to give it to you. You know what I mean? Or on the flip side, like you're panicking because you feel like you don't have enough for somebody, and then you run into just that perfect gift.
Right. I know what you're saying.
I don't know, something about it. It's stressful for multiple reasons, the running arounds and the whatnot. So it's like, like I mean, I do my fair share of online shopping, but like I'm always good for a trip to like the Trumbull and Milford Mall once a year. for the various like random shops and stuff. Like I think the Trumbull Mall has that. This is super local and not important to anybody but us. But the Trumbull Mall has that like weird like everything is like handmade store by the Cheesecake Factory.
Yes, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I always get a gift for somebody from in there because it's just all unique shit, something you can't find on Amazon.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. I tend to find myself. It's almost like Groundhog Day. I feel like I get the same stuff for people over and over, and it's not for lack of trying. It's just kind of like
I don't know. I think there might be a lack of trying. No, I'm just kidding.
I don't know. I don't know. Just I find myself like in this loop.
Yeah, no, I get it. I get it. You're up. I think it's your last pick.
Last pick. All right. Gotta make it good.
I mean, I'm gonna throw something out there that you can take because I already have my pick unless you're gonna take it here. But one that I'm surprised hasn't been said is like just the opening of gifts.
Yeah, that's true.
Not necessarily like opening your own gifts, but like the if you have like like if you do a Christmas where you have like 7 or 8 people and everyone's opening all their gifts at the same time kind of thing, seeing what everybody got, et cetera, et cetera.
That reaction. I'm going to sort of spin off that. So in my family, we've done this for a few years. We do the joke gifts. We kind of it's like a secret Santa, but it's not required, but it's kind of encouraged. Like if you can do something amusing to be like silly or whatever, it's a lot of fun. Especially if you have a person where you can get a really good like joke gift for, and what the reaction is going to be. It's very satisfying when you really like hit a home run.
Yeah, I get it. I'm gonna close it out. My final pick is I'm a huge fan of this. Again, another one that I think a lot of people stress over, but I find it extremely therapeutic and relaxing. Especially given the love for the Christmas movie and whatnot. Huge fan of wrapping gifts.
Really?
I really enjoy it. I get stressed out doing it, but it's like a good stressed out. But like there's something I like about sitting down with like the pile of like things you're giving away to people and like the wrapping of it. I love the creative aspect to it of like I'm not going to throw this scrap away because I know I'm going to come across something perfect for it. Because like you get this pair of socks you got to wrap or something like that, and you're like, fuck, I don't want to cut a whole piece of fucking wrapping paper for this.
I absolutely hate wrapping presents, and
I love it. I love wrapping presents.
Partly because my inability to like do simple tasks that kind of weighs pretty heavy.
I'm not good at it. Like they don't look pretty. My presents look pretty, but I just what about it? I like wrapping the presents. I do. I love it.
Someone at the radio station. We had a joke, and she was like, "I don't want to ever wrap a present because if I have children, I don't want to ruin the magic of Santa Claus by seeing my disaster of a wrap job."
No, you know what? And what's really funny is there are a lot of kids that will like do that like type of thing. Like a lot of parents that worry about that, and their kids that will ask that question. Like I know, like I'm trying not to speak too loudly because I don't know if
I'm sorry I brought it up.
No, you're fine. No, I'm just saying like the like we do like the specific paper.
Yeah. Yep.
You know what I mean? Like nothing else is in that category except for that. But it's I don't know. I think I think when you do that, the notice of the the notice of the shit job kind of goes out.
It disguises.
Yeah, that's funny. That's funny.
Yeah, good pick though.
Yeah, nice little draft. I liked it. A nice little draft.
Yeah. It was funny.
How am I doing in the league?
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I have a money league that I'm in. I was curious how I did in it. I forgot to look at it all week.
All right, that's all right.
I'm winning 156 to 118, so I think I'm good.
Yeah.
Derrick Henry really came through for me with the 59 yards on 4 receptions. The big hitter for me was Travis Kelce. He had a good day.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah, Travis Kelce had a good day. Where Cam Akers going? Sweet. All right. Well, Kendall, it was a pleasure having this essentially recorded phone call.
Yeah, it's funny, and I mean, I get it. Life happens, but I sent a text out literally yesterday asking if everyone was going to be on, and I was like, "Yep, well, I'll be there."
Shouldn't be a problem. And then, real life happens.
Yeah, it's just funny.
It's only gonna get more difficult as we get older.
Yeah, no, it's true. I mean,
it will get so old that it won't be difficult.
Yeah.
It's funny. I had this like envision of it. And I think it's funny. Like it's gonna get harder and harder as more of us have kids and marriages and anniversaries and vacations, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But then we're gonna get to a point one time when we're all like, if we're still doing this when we're like in our late 50s, we're like, hey, do we want to start trying to go like 5 times a week?
Yeah, right.
I'm really trying to get away from my significant other for like.
Even if it's just a half hour, can we just record something?
That's so funny. How was your beer?
It was very good. In fact, I'm kind of going to be bookending how I started with a big chug, opening my last Miller High Life, of which the beer has been reviewed many, many times on the show. But it's important to note that if you're looking for a refreshing beer that's somehow in between a light beer and a regular brewed beer, it's somehow in between, you will never find a more refreshing, not super filling, and just all over, just like well put together beer. It gets a lot of crap for no reason, but the High Life, in my opinion, is the best beer you can have for its price point, its enjoyability, and always in the bottle.
And it'll make you burp.
Yep, 10 out of 5.
Yeah, what does blow my mind is that they make a Miller High Life Light.
Yeah, didn't.
It'd be like, oh, introducing the new light Bud Light.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense, and I didn't really know about it originally. I saw it for that brief period of time, and I haven't seen it since, so I don't get it.
It might be discontinued. I mean, it was weird, too, because it was only in cans.
Yeah, it's really weird.
Man, Tyler Higbee could have touched him. Yeah, no, I agree with you, though. It's a really good brew. I enjoy it thoroughly. I was going to say something, but I don't remember what it was.
Oh, real quick, they didn't make a holiday bottle this year, did they?
What? Oh, the champagne bottle. No, I asked around. I didn't see it anywhere.
Yeah, it's too bad.
I'm going to Total for their delivery on Thursday. If anyone's going to have it, it'll be them. So I'll let you know.
Yeah, definitely.
Do you think Miller High Life's the most reviewed beer on the show?
No.
It's either, right?
I think Busch.
Yeah, I think Busch too, just from the aspect of it like coming in at 30, and it's usually the most leftover beer.
Yeah, that's like, I think of all the times it's really just been drank, it's because of the previous day or trip or whatever. There was a bunch.
Yeah. Yeah.
And how was the Mega Juicy?
It was good. Very juicy.
Would you say it's mega?
Huh?
Would you say it's mega?
I would say it's largely juicy. Well, my thing is like I think it's very difficult. Like the too juicy is like the perfect, like the perfect juice level from the juicy level. So it's like when you start getting into the elevated ABVs, when you clip the double digit mark, it's like the alcohol component kind of takes over the juiciness component.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's like,
it's almost like it's a beer that didn't need to be made.
Yeah. but it's nice that it did. I tell you what, these Mayhem commercials are so funny.
I like how they brought him back.
Have you seen the most recent one where he's a mouse?
No, I don't think so.
Pretending to be a mouse scares a woman that's decorating for Christmas. He jumps on the couch cushion, throws a pillow at the mouse, hits the Christmas tree. The Christmas tree falls over, knocks the garland down. The garland swings. The tree falls onto the table, breaking the table, and then the garland swings into the fireplace, catching on fire and lighting all the stockings on fire. It's like, it's a pretty drastic thing. Like, first of all, why would you throw a pillow at a mouse? Like, what are you going to do? Cushion it to death? That's why I always keep a brick in my pocket. You got to be ready for stuff.
Absolutely.
Okay, so, do you care to tell the fine folks where they can find us?
Yes. You can find us at Twitter and Instagram at GSWD_4.
Make sure you use the hashtag GSWD for all your daily uses. Whether it's, being abandoned by all your friends. Or, having a great time with one of your friends.
Yes, there we go. We're also on Facebook at Getting Sports with the Drunk. And basically, wherever you listen to your podcast, we're there. iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, you name it. We cover basically all the bases. We
sure do. That's what we do, man.
Yeah.
That's what we do.
And we hope you have a very nice holiday, whether you're celebrating Christmas, Hanukkah, or whatever.
Yes, happy holidays to all of you, to whatever the holiday is that you celebrate.
And it's crazy. After this, we got only one more show before the end of the year, and then it's another year of this show in the books. It's hard to believe that we've done it as long as we have.
Yeah, it is. It is. We'll have to do some drunkies next week. We'll recap our Christmases.
Yeah. And then don't want to do too much spoiling, but hopefully in 2023 we really hit the ground running.
Nah.
More the same.
All right. Well, enjoy all your holidays, and Red Baron, you enjoy yours.
Thank you. You as well.
Thank you. And I will see you. I'll see you post Christmas, pre New Year.
Yes, absolutely.
But until then, I'm your hostess, Cupcake, the Riddler.
Nope. And the Rat of a Red Baron of a frozen pizza.
Frozen pizza.